All right, Jack, so back live, Lt.Col. Tony Shaffer. Now, Tony, we've been talking a lot about the Russian advance and the lack of defenses, the corruption, but here's another piece I want to talk about, because also, since Putin's re-inauguration, starting a new term as the president of Russia, I believe it's his fourth term, I'm sure there's going to be many more terms, that something the Russian government does typically when a new presidential term starts is that they really shift around a lot of the names, a lot of the officials. And so we're seeing these huge headlines out of Western media saying the Russian Minister of Defense has been fired, he's been sacked, he was let go, all of this. That means actually what's happening in Russia is falling apart, the war effort is terrible. Yet that doesn't necessarily square with what we see on the ground, because they're conducting a successful offensive right now. What's really going on inside the Kremlin, and does this tie back to everything we saw with Prigozhin and Wagner last year?
Well, let me ask you a question back, Jack. How many times have we been told that Vladimir Putin's about to die? I mean, how many times?
You mean this week or aggregate? Dozens. So when Putin died last year, no, Tony, he died last year and he was replaced by evil Putin. Evil Putin from the alternate dimension is here now. He just shaved the goatee.
So that's my point. It's like we constantly see Western media, especially the British, reporting on aspirations, not on facts. So I try to be very clear in my commentary. And in this case, my observations, my professional opinion, if you will, is that these are all promotions. Putin has had to adjust, no doubt. When they first went into Ukraine, the internal corruption in their political system and MOD, military, their DOD, version of DOD, killed him. I mean, literally was killing people. Tanks weren't prepared. Special weapons weren't prepared, not nuclear, but other special weapons. They had no drones. And so they learned from that. So Shoigu has actually been the guy who helped right the ship. He helped get the weaponized systems that needed to produce the weapons online and producing. That's why now they're outproducing the West, the whole West. They're outproducing the EU and the United States based on Shoigu and what they were able to do to fix. And yeah, Prigozhin was complaining about lack of resources. He was right, but they fixed it. And so why on earth, Jack, would you fire the guy who actually fixed the system that everybody acknowledged was wrong? Well, you don't. You promote him. And you change people around and put them in positions which you think they'll be most effective as they start driving. And I was about to say at the end of before we went to break, the Dnieper. As they start driving towards the Dnieper, and then once they get to the Dnieper, they'll have to make some decisions on what they want to do. They've already said they want Odessa. So if you got real estate in Odessa, Jack, you should be your investment should pay off eventually. Just so.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, get out while you still can. I'll put it that way. I'm not sure if you're going to find any buyers, unless maybe if they have Russian last names. I'm not sure. Because they're going to be turning. Because I think Odessa at this point next year we'll be talking about what base the Russian Navy will be giving the name to over in Odessa. Unfortunately, because it looks like at this point, the Russians don't have any direct need, or here's my point, all right?
Yeah.
What leverage does the West, does Ukraine, does Zelensky, does Biden have in getting Putin to the negotiating table? Why would he want to? What's in it for him? What incentive does he have to negotiate when every single time that the Russians have tried to, they've either been lied to or the negotiations were broken? This is why you're seeing some of these officials like the Russian ambassador to the UN going in and saying the only thing that should be on the table is Ukraine's surrender.
Yeah. So that's the issue. They have nothing left. So you've seen from the neocon class the issue of nuclear weapons. Oh, there's nuclear weapons. Yes, that's always a possibility since the Cold War. We that is something that lingers. But you see the neocons kind of saber rattling as if like the West may do something. And of course you got the French president Macron. Pretending to be Napoleon. One day he's going to send troops in. The next he's saying, oh, no, we're not. The strategic ambiguity, which has never worked. You see, it's a clown show, Jack. It's a clown show. And at this point, Putin and his team are in the driver's seat. And I think the only reason they are being restrained is what I said earlier on your show. They're trying to figure out what's going to be the cost. You know, we've mobilized, we've got all these soldiers in uniform. How much do we want to pay for the territory we take? How much is it going to cost us to retain it? I believe, and I said this a year ago when we started talking about this, they want to turn Ukraine into a rump state. It's kind of like Switzerland, something neutral that will not be fish or fowl. It'll be just kind of a state that exists, and the territory they already hold right now will become part of Russia. Everything else becomes a buffer, and the people who ultimately are going to suffer are the Ukrainian people, which I feel very badly for.
And this is the main issue. Look, we're already heard that the Russians that some people are even theorizing that the Russians are looking at the Battle of Kharkov the same way they looked, or last year, or I should even say, no, it was 2 years ago at this point, the Battle of Mariupol down in the Donetsk province. I always say province. They're like, no, it's supposed to be oblast. I'm like, no, I'm speaking English. I'm just going to say province. Right? That's okay. Yes, I know it's an oblast, but I'm going to say province because I'm speaking English right now. So the English language, and we use the word province over here. And so it's a way for people to understand this. But that being the case, do you think that we're going to start seeing? I guess the next thing that we would start seeing is mass evacuations of the city.
I think so. So just again, a question to you, Jack. When have we seen the Russians not take a city or a territory they set their mind to do? They've been very consistent, very meticulous. They've been using essentially aggressive attrition, the other side's attrition, not their attrition, to formulate and execute their military strategy. And at this point, unless there is a foreign nation, a foreign force coming in, manpower, to stop them, they're going to continue to do it. Oh, by the way, you've heard the F-16s, the next wonder weapon's going to stop them. I roll my eyes over and over because it's just going to.
That's the wonder weapon. The wonder weapon was also something that the Germans were talking about towards the end. Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer, where can people follow you to get all of the updates and all your information?
ProjectSentinel.com, and of course on Twitter, like you and I chat all the time. And we'll see you again soon, Jack. Thanks for having me.
All right, make sure to follow him, Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer, Human Events. Look, folks, prepare for the evacuation, the mass evacuation of civilians, women, and children from Kharkiv. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, my mission situation.